Depending on your viewpoint, it's well known for its slick choreography or its sterility. So what better way to showcase senior members of Cabinet than to appear in their own mini-films in amongst Britain's masses to be premiered on the conference big screen. Today, the Let's Talk project, featuring Education Secretary Alan Johnson, keeping it real with teachers and dinner ladies.
We've had huge successes here in Hull and huge successes across the country.
But here's what conference didn't see. Mr Johnson, perhaps understandably, given that filming took place at the height of this month's attempted coup, more concerned with reassuring a local Hull MP about Tony Blair's departure date.
I feel really sorry for Tony. I think
he's fine. I've never seen him so relaxed. Well, he's comfortable in his own skin. He never planned to do more than 10 years. He told Gordon earlier this week. This is on.
Oh, sorry.
And then being carefully questioned by primary school pupils about his soon-to-leave boss.
Hattie. I am, yeah, kind of assistant to Tony Blair, yeah. Your little friend there said, "Is Tony Blair bossy?" And I kind of didn't know what to say. I don't think he is. He's a nice man.
If he catches you saying that, you'll get him.
If he catches me saying that, I'll be in big trouble. You're right.
And here's the 22-year-old who for 6 days travelled the country with a friend filming Let's Talk for the Labour Party, which has a £27 million black hole in its finances. Danny Dewsbury, a student at Lancaster University, said he answered an advert expecting work experience, but was shocked by what he found.
I feel like I've been cheated in a kind of way. They sold it as this brilliant experience where I'll be able to learn a lot, but it wasn't that. It quite simply wasn't that. It says it was actual work, and the only reason I was there was because they couldn't afford to have a proper professional cameraman there.
Danny saw a controversial advert on a website for media professionals called Production Base. It said Labour were looking for a director cameraman with his own equipment to film interviews for the Labour conference. There was no fee, but expenses paid, and a great experience of going around the country filming cabinet ministers was on offer. He was called in by an aide to Labour Party chair Hazel Blairs and sent off to interview 6 cabinet ministers at large in the community. Here Miss Blairs herself spending some time working at her local Tesco in Salford.
And just in case I ever lose the election. I've met loads of my constituents who are delighted to see me as the MP really experiencing, the front line. And I know I've got a whole range of shelves to go and stock up with some of the Christmas special offers. So I think I'd better stop this more or less right now and get on back to my work. So see you soon. Bye.
Next stop, Health Secretary Patricia Hewitt providing a helping hand to NHS nurses.
Wrong one.
No, I hadn't noticed that.
God, they always need different colours, don't you?
Right.
You can hear the oxygen, can't you?
Well, I could hear it, but it was behind
yes.
it. So,
Now that might make a difference.
It might make
a difference for that little test,
yes.
yes.
Before we go,
We brought a new one of these.
So this is the nebuliser.
That's the nebuliser.
Yeah, and this is the one for the oxygen.
Yeah,
Not much evidence of devolving power to the frontline professionals here.
What we need one of these clever technology companies to give you a different colour, so that you've got a colour coding. Wouldn't that be sensible? Yeah.
All the time, Danny was being told what and when to film by the Labour Party and clocking up expenses. He began to believe that it wasn't work experience at all, but real work for which he should have been paid the national minimum wage.
For me, it's even more crazy the fact that, a lot of the time these people were talking about the minimum wage and how proud they were of it. And although I didn't tell the ministers specifically, I just thought it was ridiculous in the fact that I wasn't getting paid by the Labour Party.
If you want somebody that's going to come into that kind of relationship, the law is clear. You pay the minimum wage. If you can't afford to pay people the minimum wage, you can't afford to have employees. So do the job yourself or spread the work out amongst the people that you've already got working for you.
Even the minister in charge of the media told Danny there was a real problem with exploited young media workers working for free.
Well, I know there are various scams which basically mean that young people can spend weeks and weeks and weeks not on work experience, where you're getting a taster and you're being taught and shown how the industry works, but basically working as cheap labour, free labour, and that's wrong, that's unjust.
In fact, while Alan Johnson was in charge of the DTI, it's clarified to TV companies that any work experience person expected to obey instructions should be paid the minimum wage. Embarrassing to the Labour Party, which maintains Danny signed a form saying he was a willing volunteer. Danny himself says that wasn't made clear to him.
Faisal Islam reporting. Well, earlier I spoke to the Education Secretary, Alan Johnson, from Manchester. The rather nice video that introduced you and has introduced others in the course of this conference, made by a nice young film student, but who appears to have been paid absolutely nothing for his labours. Now, that's fine if you get a volunteer, but you know, as a former DTI man, he should have been paid the minimum wage.
This is a matter for the party, as I understand it. They used him because he wanted to be a volunteer, unpaid volunteer, to do that piece of work. It happens all the time in politics. We have people who are not paid, who work because they want to have an association with politics. Now, that's a matter for the party. You'll have to ask him that. But he seemed like a decent chap to me. Well, no, I mean,
the only problem here is that your old DTI, when you were there in that September of last year, issued a directive, or at least a guidance, as to when people should be paid the minimum wage, and that is when they are instructed. And he was instructed every day of the week, and he was very busy. And
if he was voluntary, I mean, talk to the party about it, but if he's working voluntary, you'll have people there at Channel 4 who will want to come and volunteer for some experience of working in the media. It happens everywhere. The national minimum wage doesn't apply in those circumstances.
Well, but they don't